Welcome to the first episode of Simply Complex podcast. This is a podcast me and Kareem decided to create effectively that is going to empower the normal stories and normal kind of people. We're going to have funny content, we're going to have amazing inspirational content on here. We're going to have content that kind of fulfills all spectrums of life. We kind of made this basically because we never found a podcast that really related to us. It was always like LeBron James telling you a story. It was an amazing story, but it didn't kind of relate to the normal person. And we want to kind of go through, especially Manchester at the start, go through the local people, kind of get an understanding of their stories and their amazing stories, because each one has an amazing story, and empower their story and hopefully in the end of the day, help somebody, empower them. Let them know their troubles and worries are not as bad as they seem, because in the end of the day, we all have stuff we're dealing with. And that's what we kind of wanted to address. So today's podcast specifically, later me and Kareem will be the hosts of the show. And the first two episodes, this is episode 1, is them two, Maj and Kareem, are going to dissect me, for example, in this episode. They're going to rip me apart, tell everything that they need to say about me, and
do best.
let's see. And Kareem, take it away, my friend.
So, are you ready?
I'm not ready for this. I'm not going to lie. I don't know where this is going to go. This is either going to go super serious or super funny. I don't know.
So, I think it's important for us to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so the casual intro about myself is I'm 24 years old, from Manchester, born and raised, but Syrian heritage.
Okay.
I went to university and school and all that good stuff. Did product design at university, and now I do a few things now. I have a startup company that I'm making, which is an app. I've made a shoe, and to be honest, this is our next kind of thing that we're kind of concentrating on.
So,
And then I do normal things.
so you seem to have a few things going on at once.
Yeah.
You know, some people like to focus on one thing and one thing only.
Yeah.
You know, no stress, no headache, and play it safe. Why have you decided to take so many projects on board?
So for me, it was kind of, I don't know, it's one, I don't like being bored.
Okay.
I don't like that idea of not chasing something.
So you enjoy?
I enjoy it. I find chasing something and risk-taking an aspect that I've developed through the years, like especially understanding that I'm a creative, defining what my creativity was and trying to find a purpose, really. And like what I've kind of realized over this time is, like, you never know if the risk is going to succeed or not, or whatever you're doing, like start this podcast. We don't know what this is going to go. We're putting our full effort into it. We have a setup of 3 cameras, for example, but we're giving it a go. And that's what I kind of chase. That's kind of my push.
You said you're of Syrian origin. Does that have anything to do with your lifestyle and what you do?
So it's one of these things, like Maj will kind of relate to this as well, where we've been born and raised here. So as much as we are Syrian, we also are British, in the sense that we didn't grow up with that same environment that Arabs, for example, will have grown up with. So we kind of had that as a secondary. We had to learn the language as a secondary. Okay. But yeah, being Syrian, even though it's not like it is part of my life, I've made it into a big factor of, it's become a big factor of what I did in my kind of projects, which was an interesting kind of role that I kind of played.
So what would you consider home then?
What would I consider home? That's a question that you get asked all the time. It's like when you first get asked, you know, like where are you from? Where do you start with, British or Syrian? I'm just like, I don't know. I pretty much say British all the time, because it feels like you're just a bit more passionate about it, especially after everything that's gone down. You can't be bothered with the sob story half the time. You're like, oh, okay, I'm British, but you don't look it. Oh, thank you, but you know.
I feel like as well, because you grew up here, you spent like really important years here.
Yeah.
So that's molded you into the kind of guy that you are now.
Yeah.
Do you find that, like, obviously having that Syrian heritage, do you find growing up in Manchester and in England, like sometimes you were tested in certain ways? And I
find like I always find it with us kind of Arabs that have grown up here. We think we're super Arab, right? But then we go to that Arab world, we go to Syria, whatever we go, back in the day, and we realize we're not Arab at all compared to them. We don't know their actual culture, that actual local culture.
So you feel like an outsider within your own.
Exactly. It's like saying
society.
if you speak English, you're from England. No, it's not the same thing. You need to know the kind of culture, how it works.
The sense of humour is a big thing as well that plays into
Exactly.
it.
Like here, the sense of humour is super dry.
You're from Syria as well?
Yep.
You feel the same way?
Exactly.
You do?
Yeah. It's an interesting kind of complex because everyone tells us, oh, you don't sound Arab at all. We're just like, what do you expect? Like, we can speak as much as we can, but no one here speaks Arabic. If I have a preference of Arabic and English, why would I speak Arabic?
Yeah.
Because my English is so much better. Yeah.
I mean, when I speak to you, to be honest, you sound like you're British. You're a British young lad
Yeah.
who studies,
Exactly.
works hard.
Young lad.
But,
Yeah.
you know, I do think, you know, where you come from, even if you change and you sort of go into a different culture, it's still also important to know your heritage,
Yeah.
where you're from. It doesn't matter where you're from, it's important for the person to have the identity.
Yeah, no, 100%.
An identity is important.
But it's not a thing we fight with, do we? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think we fight with it. I think it's an interesting kind of perspective, but I've never sat down and been like, I don't know who I identify with.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The reason why I asked you is not because I feel like it's important for me where you're from, but it's important for me to know how you sort of manage the fact that you come from a different background and you've come into, even though you're born here, but your parents are from a different country and there's like a difference in culture at home. You know, the way you brought up, the language, and the way you live your life here.
Yeah.
But you seem to manage it, and
We just get used to it in the end of the day. It's kind of like one of them things, you're in the system. You're from a primary school, from nursery. You've grown up with that culture. You don't know anything else, but you go home and it's completely different.
so what you're actually driven by yourself.
But what does that even mean?
So you say you're doing product design, you've done some charity work,
Yeah, I've done charity work.
and now you've decided to do this project.
See, that's one of them.
And for me, it's like
That's one of them things that now is going to hit real kind of the juice because I don't know. Like, I don't know how I got into this. I feel like maybe environment, maybe people, surround yourself with the right people and you get affected in the good ways or bad ways. Luckily, I had an environment such as itself that kind of drove me. But I don't know, from a young age, I always wanted to help in some way. Okay. So I remember someone we know, we started off doing homeless projects in Manchester. So that was kind of like before anything happened in Syria, for example. And we just started doing little projects here and there, seeing what we could do, being pushed by social media in the end of the day. We saw YouTubes of people helping, encouraged us to help. We made a YouTube channel to encourage other people to help. And it kind of, inside of me, it created this really positive energy that I was like, oh, I love this feeling. Like, this feeling's sick. Like, oh, I want to do this more. And without realizing, I started to kind of build my journey, build my story. And unfortunately, at that time in life, it was transitioning to what happened in Syria, all the atrocities that basically happened. And we are Syrian. I connected with it instantly. You can't not. Like, this is your home, the second home, whatever you want to call it. But you're still from there. So my mom effectively started a charity, and the Syrians around us became really pro-helping out, pro-helping all these kind of situations. So naturally, helping out here, left and right. Yeah, it kind of gave me a thing to, subconsciously, it opened my eyes, you know what I mean? This is the kind of interesting thing that I always reflect on and say, I wasn't ever told to do it, you know what I mean? It was just like, here, bring this to this hall, whatever. Yeah. And then over time, you start to think, oh, whatever. And I remember there was one trip that was the game changer for me. I remember me and this guy called Awais. It was my final year of, no, not final year. I just finished my high school. So I was transitioning to university. And A-level results hadn't come out yet. I don't know if I was getting into uni. In that period, me, Awais, decided to go on holiday. We decided, and at this point in life, my mum she had a center for physical rehabilitation for refugees in Jordan, in Amman, Jordan. So we were like, okay, let's think of a cool holiday to do. Why not? So we'll go there for a week, go to Dubai for another week, and go to Ghana. And just, I don't know, explore the world, just see the world a bit. So I remember this, and we thought Jordan was going to be the deadest, most boring part of the trip, because when you think of holidays, you don't think of Jordan, you know, like no offense to Jordan, but it was like, what is there to do? We're helping out, cool and all, but Dubai's going to be way funner, right? Ghana, seeing all that kind of, I've never been to Africa in general. I'm just like, oh, that's a new kind of experience for me. Not an Arab world country. I'm like, okay, great. So we got there, and we just transitioned into this. We were staying in this physical rehabilitation. It was like a big house, basically, like 3-4 floors, different patients everywhere, and then people everywhere, all over the place. Think of it as like a casual hospital. And me and Awais got here, and we were chilling. We started teaching kids how to speak English. He was speaking to kids who knew how to speak English but not very well, so he taught them, and then I started with the babies pretty much who had no English. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's give this a go. And I remember it was like the best experience ever.
Really?
We loved it, like flipping loved it. And it was like, what is this? Like, what is this? I've never felt this before. And you were speaking with these kids and just remembering all these stories with these kids. You just like you're just kind of having that thing where you're like pure joy, pure satisfaction in that sense. So that's something we had to kind of understand and develop. And when playing with the kids and you being in this positive environment this whole time, you were like, okay, this is amazing. But I remember specifically, it was like, we thought let's say our flight was on a Saturday, but it turns out our flight was on a Friday. And on Friday, we realized that. So imagine a day of pure bliss being taken away from you. And bro, I'll never forget this, because I remember me and Awais just looked at each other, and I was gonna cry. I was like how? This is a once in a lifetime
really
opportunity
touched.
with this people, with these set of people. These people, the happiest people I've ever met in my life. And I'm just like, and this being taken away from me. Like this one time, one opportunity in life will change if I leave. And we were going to Dubai, and we were meeting a friend in Dubai, and we were just like, oh, we have to go, but this is so annoying. I remember the whole flight home, I didn't say a word to Awais, Awais didn't say a word to me. We got to Dubai. I was not excited to be in Dubai. I was like, why am I here? I want to go back. And I was like, this is something that I don't want to experience. Like, this is truly heartbreaking for me.
So, you're talking about this experience, and it's really interesting the way you look at it, but me sitting here listening to you, I'm thinking to myself, generally, how old were you at the time?
18.
18. So generally, an 18-year-old wouldn't necessarily enjoy that sort of experience. It's a bit boring. They want to do something a bit more entertaining. What made you enjoy it? I mean, you mentioned your mum quite a lot.
See, I get that point. Yeah, we didn't even expect it as well.
An influence on, your...
Man, it was something. It was like that bubble being burst. It was like, okay, my mum enabled me to see it, right? But in reality, like I said at the start, it was like I saw Jordan as, let's kill 5 days so we get to Dubai, right? Dubai is living our best life, right? And you just feel positivity everywhere. You're like, this is something that you're non-stop smiling, you're non-stop having a good time, you're non-stop enjoying the company of these loving people. And you're like, this is the kind of realization in your head where you're like, the simple things are all that matter in life.
That powerful that it made you think that, you know what, I'm going to continue and make it a journey. Yeah,
but that was not even a conscious kind of question I said to myself, oh, I want to continue this. It was just like, I'm continuing. This is something that I'm passionate about, and I can already love it. Like, I couldn't be happier. And if I ever kind of think about, especially now, or generally reflecting my happiest moments in life, they're doing charity work. they're doing something that matters. They're putting a purpose.
It must have been quite a humbling experience as well, because obviously, like, you know, an 18-year-old growing up in Manchester, like, your priorities are probably on, like, you know, the next, you know, like sneakers coming out or whatever it is, or like getting into uni, or like, you know, it's quite, you know, you've got tunnel vision on certain things.
Yeah.
And so, like, being transported out of that into a refugee camp, being exposed to things you've never seen before, that must have been a real eye-opener.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was so, like, breaking it down, like, there was one moment that I always say, it was my revelation in life, right? We'd spoken to so many people and so many people at the centre, right? And I was at a stage in my life, as I said previously, that I was waiting for my A-level results. And any 18-year-old will resonate with this. If they're waiting to get into university, it's kind of, well, scary. You're like, oh, will I get into university? If I don't get in, my life is over, right? This was the revelation I had when I was at this period of time where I was like, there's a saying, it was like, your nightmare will be someone else's dream, effectively. And my nightmare was not getting into university, right? Their dream was having the opportunity to go to university. And that for me just blew my mind. I was just like, what am I worrying about? Worst comes to worst, I don't get in, I come and do this. I help people, I do this. There's so many things that stop kind of focusing on this idea of what the problem is. It's not actually prevalent or whatever, because it was just like you heard these stories where it was like one guy, he got to his final year of university doing medicine, so he spent like 5 years already, and the war started. And what does he have to show for it? Nothing. He lost everything he'd done. He had to restart everything. And that's if he got to university in the end. And you're just like, oh my God. You're like, not like my problems are nothing, but just my problems are nothing compared to this. Stop worrying about things that are artificial. Worry about things that actually matter, your health, your family, your things like this. And worry about now a lot. Like, concentrate on what's right now. Because especially growing up in an environment like we do, Manchester, you never think about right now, because right now is given, tomorrow is given, we assume, the next year is given, how do we put on life later, right? So we always kind of have that perspective, while they don't. So they're enjoying every moment they have. So it's kind of like mind blown in the sense where it was like, I need a reality check. Fixating on problems that don't deserve the attention they get. I need to change that. I need to be happier. I have everything to be happy about. Why am I not?
It's all mindset, man.
But do you know, I mean, the way you're telling me about the experience, it makes it seem almost like a perfect story.
Yeah.
Did certain things happen back then that made you think, you know what, I'm not doing this? Like, you know, later on, after you've had that beautiful experience, as you describe it.
So me personally, I think from a young age, I was stubborn, I was childish, I was all these things. I didn't like doing what I didn't like, what I wasn't comfortable with. So I kind of grew up thinking, I hate this. I hate not being able to speak to anyone because I was introverted. I hate not being able to, I don't know, for example, speaking to the girl you like because I was just too nervous, all these kind of things. So growing up, I used to seek these weaknesses and say, go away, I'm gonna target you now. Because if you said to me, being a 14-year-old kid doing the experience I did, being in a, let's say, such house with so many people, being exposed to so many different situations, I'd be like, no way, that's not me, I can't do it. But growing, you automatically, and if you're trying to focus on bettering yourself, you automatically kind of push yourself into that environment and stop worrying about the repercussions of what it's going to have on you. So when I was there, I was open to hearing people's stories. The stories I heard were just, I will never hear anything like that again in my life, and I'm sure of it. But the fact that these kids, adults, everything was so happy, you're just like, what, how? They've lost everything. They've lost everything. And you're just like, how?
See, is it just me, or it seems like while he's doing all this work for charity, he's benefiting just as much, if not more, than the people that he's going to help?
Yeah.
Do you think it taught you a lot about yourself?
Yeah, and that's kind of like the realization I gained from it, which was people always see charity as me helping you, like as a person helping a third party. That is not true, man. You grow so much. You see so much. You expose yourself to so many different environments.
But I think it's having that mindset,
It
like
teaches you.
allowing yourself to you know,
To be
think in
taught.
that way into, yeah, in a way, exactly.
Effectively,
It's all
too,
about having that
allowing
mindset.
yourself to grow.
Yeah.
Because effectively, if I never saw that, I never would have. I would have never had that perspective. And that, for me, was the pinnacle of my kind of life changing and my eyes opening in a sense. Because I remember there was one story when we were there. So I remember there was a kid, 5 years old, right? Cutest kid in the world, right? Cutest kid in the world. So happy, so pure happiness. Like, you don't see people purely happy. Every day he'd jump on me, wake me up. Faisal, da 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 da. Come, let's play. Literally, what more do you want? Like, it brings a joy, right? And to give you some pre-story to this kid, he'd lost both his legs because, unfortunately, and it's a bit shocking in the sense of he was at home with his sister, and he's Syrian refugee, and a bomb fell on his house. It killed his dad, and his mom jumped on him and his sister and burnt alive on top of him, and his legs burnt off, and his sister's one leg burnt off. Like, and the kid's 5. It was something that, for me, I don't know, just hearing a story like that, the kid's 5. And yet the kid was the happiest kid you'll ever meet in your life.
But, see, you seem like a very intelligent person, and I've got a lot of respect for you, Faisal, but you see all these experiences, they do have a big influence on your life, but everyone that I meet that becomes something, usually they go through some sort of struggle.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to know, like,
have I been through that struggle?
have you had some sort of personal struggle where it wasn't about anyone else, it was about you?
Okay, I get you.
Whether it was to do with education, whether it's to do with poverty, whether it's to do with family, whether it's to do with not having friends.
So I think my biggest struggle was identifying myself. It's the identity crisis. It's that who am I? What is I don't know, Faisal, whatever. Why does it exist? That was my kind of biggest one. Is I spent a lot of my life following people, not knowing what I was good at, wanting to be good at something. Was not naturally the smartest guy, right? I was never naturally the guy who got A stars and everything. I'd get B's and C's, right? And if I tried really hard, I'd get an A. And I was like, in that period where I was like 16, I'd got to a point where I was like, what do you want to do in your A levels? And I was like, I want to consider myself creative, right? But I'm not I'm not shining, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, no one's going to me, oh, Faisal, you're proper creative. And no one says that to me about smarts. So what am I? You know, usually you see either you're creative or you're smart. You know, if you're in the middle, what are you? So I kind of had this idea, and it kept bugging me. And I was like, all right, if I can't do any of these things, as on top of the fact that I'm not the most popular kid in school, I don't speak to people. I was good at sports, but like, I was that kid who was literally sat in the corner with his friends maybe, but he wouldn't speak to anyone else. Maybe his friends would.
Were you not the tallest kid though?
I was pretty tall. But generally, it was just like that kind of idea of who are you, and who are you effectively? And it might have surface value. It seems like it was such a normal thing, right? Compared to many things, yeah, it's nothing, but it's still apparent. It was still prevalent in my mindset 24/7.
As well, like, you know, coming from like a similar culture as well, I feel like there can be sometimes a lot of pressure from either at home or, you know, just like from the environment that you're growing up in.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like you had some pressure sort of pushing you in a certain direction?
Luckily, I had the environment around me that enabled me, but also the same sense, let's be honest, creativity in an Arab culture, in that Arab Muslim culture, as much as my parents encouraged it, it's not encouraged. It's not a thing. So I always struggled with this idea, which was, oh, you're creative because you're stupid. You're not creative because you're creative. You're creative because you're stupid, right? And I'd have that back in my mind all the time. I'd be like, am I actually stupid? Like, is that why I'm doing DTE and I'm doing art and I love to paint and all these kind of things? Is that because I'm actually an idiot?
What do you do about it? How did you?
You can never really do about it, because in the end of the day, you have your environment, but until you know who you are, that's always going to be there. Till you start to achieve you and kind of believe in yourself. I had my environment, luckily, that out of the really close-knit friends of mine that would have my back, that always kind of egged me on and said, wow, you're like, that's so cool. Even though probably 90% of the time, maybe they didn't find it so prevalently cool, but they would back me effectively, which at an age where you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do in my life, I'm an idiot, you need it. It's an environment thing. And then, but obviously there was some underlying issues that I was like, I need to sort out. I need to prove myself. This regular idea of I need to prove myself. And I still get it today. And I'm 24.
So I've known you for at least a year, I'd say. And up until about a month ago, we've not had a serious conversation.
Yeah.
And every time he comes for a haircut, he's always just laughing and joking. And it made me think to myself, is he really, really happy? Or is he really, really sad and want to front him? So now that we're doing this, I want to know, are you fronting? Is that why you're always, laughing and joking? Or?
Nah, to be honest, I'm kind of one of them people who believes, don't be serious as you need to be. This is a more serious environment, but it'll break down as we continue and get more used to it. But nah, man, you ask him, man. Like, he's known me 24 years. Like,
I'm gonna put you on the spot now a little bit. So obviously, being a barber, got a lot of sort of loyal customers coming to you. You engage in a lot of conversation. At the barber chair. How would you rate his chat? How would you rate his conversation? How would you rate his banter?
With him, it's weird to describe. It's like he's super confident, but super humble at the same time. I'm being totally honest here. I get a lot of people that come through, and the way they act when they come in usually says a lot about themselves, because naturally, gents, when they walk through the door, it's like it's a different world. You're in a barber's, you don't need to, pretend or have a front or be someone you're not. For that half an hour you're in here, you're literally yourself. And when he comes in, I don't ever let anyone do any family jokes, insults with me. Just not because I see it as an issue, it's just growing up as an Arab. You just don't go there, do you? He's a one person.
What a compliment.
He's the one person that changed that, and it's the energy. Like the energy that I get from him.
It's all positive.
It is, but it's like it sort of shows me his intention, if that makes sense. Usually when someone does something, even if you disagree with the action, it's like the intention behind it. And that's the thing with him, even though he can be super annoying, he's quite soft at the same time. So, okay, we've covered that. I want to know, what do you see yourself doing moving forward with your life? Is it similar to what you have been doing, or maybe do something completely different, something that will really sort of put everything to the test, everything that you've learned, everything that you've done, everything that you've achieved?
Man, that's the thing. There's no, I don't have a goal. My goal is to leave with having a meaning at the end of the day, creating a purpose, creating a why. This is the thing that I'm advocating more than ever right now. A lot of people get lost, man. That's why I wanted to make this podcast. That's why I go into schools to speak to kids. That's why I do all of that kind of stuff. That's why I kind of wanted to speak and get into public speaking, which is this idea that maybe there's not a certain specific tangible thing that I want. No. But in the end of the day, I want to have a mark and say, I helped people in something, something actually helpful. Maybe it's to listen to this and say, I can relate to that. And this is something that makes my problems seem less stressful, less whatever, because I know someone normal is going through them. And giving people and triggering, stimulating their minds to make them think, what is their purpose, what is their why, what is their journey? Because if you can sit on this couch and you have a journey and story, we're willing to hear
It's
it.
very interesting you saying that, because like as you're speaking right now, I'm thinking to myself, like generally, when you ask someone that question, they usually say my goal is to, I don't know, whether
X, Y, and Z, whatever.
yeah,
It's
like,
something
whether
material,
financial,
isn't it?
whether-
Or, yeah.
right. And in my head, it's usually a case of, if I don't say I've got a goal, it means I'm lazy.
Yeah.
It means I'm not
Yeah,
ambitious.
true.
Whereas you're saying you don't necessarily have one, but yet you're putting yourself through all the work that you do put yourself through.
Yeah.
Like you're doing so much.
I think a
but
lot
there's
of it,
no
It's like I'm
pressure.
chasing
I
an
think a lot of it
intangible.
comes down to like values and principles as well. Like I kind of get what you're saying, because sort of touching on what you were saying before about when you were 18 and
Yeah.
you were waiting for your results to get into uni, you weren't sure what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And you weren't sure like how you kind of defined yourself, whether you were,
Yeah.
you know, you had the smarts, whether you were creative and that. And at the time you weren't that comfortable with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Now you're a lot more comfortable with it. Like you still, you know, like Kareem said, you still don't really have like a chosen path
Yeah.
or a route, but you're comfortable
Yeah.
with that. What advice would you give? Because, you know, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of 17, 18, 19-year-olds out there who are in, or, you know, are in a similar position you were, but they may not be as comfortable with it. So what advice?
Man, it's
Could you give?
to find your lane effectively. Find what do you want to do? Because I've always find, especially being a creative, it's very easy to follow. Seeing someone and say, oh, I love his art, or I love his design, or I love his whatever, I'm going to follow that lane. But I realized the stuff that made me who I am is the stuff that I did personally. I did charity work, not to help my CV, just because I like to do it. I did things that I love to do. I'm a sneakerhead. I've got like 60 pairs of crepes. It's just like I bought them because I love them. I sold them because that was the way of financing it.
I think that's one thing we should have put on this little
On a little table.
Yeah.
By the way, look at my shoes. It's just all that kind of mentality, which was, how do you go about giving yourself validating yourself? It's an ongoing process. How do I make myself stand out, but not to stand out, but just so I have the skills, the tools, the this, that. So that's why when Kareem came up to me, it was like the curation of this podcast came about with completely organic. I didn't go to him saying I wanted to make a podcast. He didn't go to me saying I wanted to make a podcast. It was, he told me out of nowhere that his missus effectively saw my talk. She loved it, X, Y, Z, right? And that organically grew into this,
Sparked the conversation.
basically. Which was funny because I came in here when he first opened the shop and I was like, yo, this would be a sick setup to do something. I want to do something here.
Yeah.
But and at that point in my life, like I was speaking more at schools. I was transitioning to that thing of being a public speaker a bit
Kind
more.
of naturally
And
progress.
I was really kind of focusing on, I never found podcasts that suited us. It was always this weird story and this weird intangible thing that I couldn't relate to. I just want to listen to cool stories, cool conversations and be like, yo, that's sick.
I mean, usually I love watching videos on YouTube. Nothing in particular, like anything that I'd find interesting, depending on what mood I'm in, just click on it. And in the first 5-10 minutes, I'll decide whether I'm going to watch the rest or not. But we love having conversations, but we don't like to be lectured.
Yeah, true.
We don't want to watch a video where you feel like you're still at school.
You need to do this,
or you're
this,
still
this
at
to
work,
succeed.
You're still at university. And the idea that we can sit and talk and it could be about absolutely anything where the viewer can watch, either take nothing or benefit from it. And it's not a lecture, it's not something where we come to a conclusion at the end and say, look, we've come to the conclusion.
There's no
This
answer.
is- there is no answer.
It's an organic
Just having a
conversation, basically. Yeah. I feel you.
There's
I
so
feel you.
many different ways that you can look at it, and so many lessons that you can.
Like you said,
take from.
different people will take different things away from the conversation
Exactly,
based off what's
man.
going on in their life.
And there's so many times where I say that build the piece, the kind of the story of me, which was taking a bit of here, taking a bit of here, taking this movie that based on a true story, right? I love that, which is like you go, oh, that guy's doing so much struggle. I like that. I want to become like that. Oh, this is hilarious. This guy's a character in the film. I want to be a character in real life. And you start piecing. So if we can give those people pieces of that, we've done our bit.
I want to go back to your origins. So you're born here. Right?
Born here.
Your
Born and
parents
raised
were born
there.
in Syria.
My dad was born here.
Your dad was born
Was Syrian
in
origin.
Okay. And you speak Arabic.
I speak Arabic and English. Yeah. Well, yeah.
What language do you dream in?
It's very
Interesting.
Man, I'm going to say English, man. I don't
This
recall.
guy's Mancunian.
I don't recall.
He's a red
it.
as well, through and through.
Like
man.
I can barely,
He's a red, this one.
exactly.
through
I
and
barely
through.
remember my dream when I wake up. But I've never, I dream in English, for sure.
You dream in English.
For sure.
I think that has a lot to say about the person, you know. Someone might look from a particular part of the world, but in there, you don't have a clue what's going on.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's one of them. Again, it goes back to this idea we said at the start, where you from?
Because when I'm talking to you, I mean, you're both from a neighbouring country. I'm from Iraq.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, there's a lot of things that you guys mention or talk about where I differ in culture, even though we're neighbours.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you must have a lot of Iraqi friends. When you talk to them, you have a lot in common.
Yeah.
We also differ.
But also there are
we also
differences.
differ. And I think through this conversation, people will be less ignorant because we're sort of getting to know one another.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think it touches on a really good point in that, like, it's your environment has a huge part to play in who you end up like becoming, and it kind of goes back to what you were saying in that, you know, sort of growing up, you know, it was trying to find your lane, whatever it was, and I feel like the motivation that you got, it's good that you had a stable environment at home, but a lot of people, unfortunately, for whatever reason, they don't get that.
Yeah.
But what they can be in control of is the environment they have, you know, at school. Or, you know,
their
out on the
friends,
road
their
and stuff like
this.
that. And I feel like that has a huge part to play.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes back to what you were saying as well, and that yes, the environment that you're around, there are a lot of people that you have a lot of similarities with, but also a lot of differences. And if you use it to your advantage, it can help you grow.
Yeah, so it's like numerous factors and a sort of just combined shape you and make you the person you are today.
Man, like, that's the kind of idea of the podcast name.
Yeah.
Life is literally simple yet complex. Like, it's so easy to think it's so straightforward, but then so many things that tangle up life where it's just like, oh my God, what do I do in this situation?
Yeah.
What do I, like, how do you learn? You learn usually from experiences. And if you don't go through the experience, how are you going to be exposed to that learning? And that's the kind of thing that we want to trigger.
And if you don't make the mistakes, I think that's a really important thing as
well.
well.
But some
like
people
you
learn
said,
from their mistakes and some people don't. Like, some people learn from experiences, some people learn from just straight learning.
Yeah.
And I find I'm one of them people that learn from experiences. I let the experiences teach me. I don't. If you told me this next year, I don't know, whenever you're in university, everyone in front of you told you, oh man, enjoy university, it's so easy, life outside of university is so difficult. You didn't actually realize that till you left. A lot of people, very few people actually learn and understand that and appreciate it. And then a lot of people, when they finish and realize it, then they go and tell the previous generation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And some people learn in different ways, and I learn personally from experiences. I see the gain of it. I see the story of it. I want to teach people off that story and encourage them to seek their own story.
I think we like to alienate people that are different to us. You know, if someone is slightly different to us in the way they think, it's like we can't accept them for who they are. You know, we have an idea of how to live, you know, how to work, how to choose your job, how to choose your partner. And you know, when you speak to people, you realize, no, it's not the case. Some people's drives are different. Some people's experience are different. Some people's education is different.
And that doesn't mean they won't get along in any sense of the word. We, especially like, let's say me and Kareem, in raw reality, we didn't know too much about each other. But yet we had this surface level understanding that this is something that we wanted to create. Great. I saw, effectively from my perspective, I saw he made this shot. I saw that he put in so much passion and energy into it and all this kind of ideas. And I was like, okay, I like that. And then XYZ he saw about me. And then naturally we collabed and I didn't have to question, oh, who is he? You know what I mean? I had that surface level value that I said, I don't have any reason to question him. Why would I? Stop seeking problems in people. And
very interesting.
you know what I mean? It's like a lot of people, I find this especially to go back to this creative idea, is people have a lot to say negatively and never too much to say positively, no matter even if they love it. So, I don't know, whatever, something I design, right? Someone will seek the constructive criticism before the criticism before the positivity, you know what I mean? And generally, people don't realize it half the time. And until I became an entrepreneur in the sense of, I only appreciated my own work because I knew the effort that I put into it and all that kind of stuff, I realized everybody doesn't realize that. And so they automatically go, I don't know, this, oh, it's cool, but I changed that, you know what I mean? Oh, I changed this. Oh, this bit I adapt. And there's no, oh, I love it. That's sick.
They have to find that.
They have to find the problem. And I'm like, I'm not here to seek problems of you in the end of the day. Like, I remember I had
It's like a lens that you have on.
literally, and I was like, and it's just annoying half the time because, especially when you're regularly not receiving positive feedback, you need something, you need that little tick of energy, just pump you up a bit.
Yeah.
Even though you're running on yourself half the time, and you're all right with that, but it's just that someone else's validation that you're doing the right thing as well that also comes into play. And
It feels good every now and then.
Yeah, it feels good.
Of course.
If someone compliments you on your work, it's a naturally good feeling.
Of course.
So I find that lacks more than ever, and I always found, and I speak a lot to our friends, for example, we always, friendship group in general, attack each other on their negatives, right? Never empower their positives. Like, unless their positives are so outlandish and so prevalent that that they'll go to it, like especially in guys. In our friendship group, we'll never say, oh, you're the best at this, you're the best at this, you're the best. You know what I mean? It's like, oh no, I want to be the best at everything. Each person wants to be the best at everything. So we'll never gratify and give that credit to each person.
Yeah, right.
So it's just like, it becomes very unconsciously toxic.
Yeah, to be fair to some people, I think sometimes it's not a matter of choice. I mean, depending on your experience, maybe you try and do the right thing, be positive constantly all the time, having the right people around you, but then there's always some things that, you know, that are sort of tied into your life that will always bring that negative energy, that will bring problems, and it's just inevitable and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
You gotta know how to distance yourself from that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, but exposing yourself to the things, by exposing yourself, you learn these things. That's the kind of thing that's how I taught myself. Going to refugee camps and going to all that kind of world and being exposed to a wide variety of environments enabled me to open my kind of view, which is, pushed it out and said, oh, I can see that people see this. Like, a great realization for me was, I was at a refugee camp on the borders of Greece and Macedonia, right? Helping thousands of people on the journey from Syria to Germany, right? Where there's like 2,500 kilometers of distance. So I was one man at one point, right? Just doing my bit. We worked like crazy, but we also had crazy amounts of fun. Anyway, I didn't realize the power that one person possesses when they do what they're doing and they do it properly. When someone who I'd met briefly meaning for like 30 seconds, I don't remember telling him my name. Bear in mind, we were dealing with thousands of people on a daily, like crazy amounts of people, and we were a team of like 10. Got to Germany, found me on Facebook, thanked me for what I did, found my mom, thanked her for what I did, and that I was doing this, and told her how proud she should be of me. And I was just like, how? I don't even remember telling him my name. I remember the guy, but I was just like, it showed me, stop undervaluing yourself half the time. Or like, especially as an introvert, I would always go, oh, I'm the worst. I'm the bottom of the barrel. Everybody around me was always better than me. That's how I would always seek it. But then as I grow up, that's the self-value that comes in. I'm just like, man, appreciate what you do. Keep trying to help people. Keep trying to do your thing. And ignore everyone else. Everyone else's point is irrelevant in the end of the day. It could be positive or negative. It still shouldn't be the reason you do things. You should be doing it for you, or me. Like, you should be doing it for yourself. And I decided to help people for myself. I decided to become a product designer for myself. Even though everybody told me stop being an idiot, it's like not a money-making business, right? I decided that I wanted to make an app on my own. All these kind of things on my own. I didn't consciously think, oh, SWOT analysis, like, oh, the risk factor of this and the risk factor of that, and this is the perception of this person will have of this, or have on me. I didn't care about any of these things. I said I want to do it. Okay, cool. All right. You know, like this goes to simply complex. Like, one side it could be complex. One side I thought simple, just do it. Who cares? As Nike told us best.
And it seems like you're not actually driven by, you're not mentioned religion or spirituality or anything. Like, generally, it's just good energy.
Man, there's an underlying with the religion, obviously, because we are born and raised Muslims. Does that, like, I want to be a good person. I don't know how, like Islam teaches us effectively to be good people, but you can easily be not a good person and a Muslim.
That's why,
you know what I mean?
That's why I asked it in the sense that, you know, I don't know what you like with religion in your own personal life, and that's something, you know, everyone's got the right to, you know, believe in what they believe in, but you're just driven by this energy, this positive energy. When you're helping someone, they don't have to be from the same background or the same religion. As long as they're a human being, you're willing to.
As long as they're anything, like, I don't really care, because it's, like we said at the start, it helps me in the end of the day.
Yeah.
Stop being so naive and saying, and stop being so ignorant and saying, and people might hear this and be like, oh, he's doing it for himself. You need to realize sometimes in life there's a side benefit of things.
Right.
Like, you do a shop, it might be a pain for the first 12 months, but you reap the benefits after, right? You go through hardships, you reap the benefits after.
I think that's it. I think it's putting yourself sometimes like out of your comfort zone.
But it's the key of seeking that silver lining, which is seeking the positivity of it. And I always say this to people, no matter what tragedy you've gone through, there's always a silver lining. You just need to seek it. Whether someone dies, unfortunately, or you've gone through massive hardship, that's a story that you have that no one else has. That's something you have. You know what I mean? That's something personal to you that you need to enable it to kind of build yourself, to build who you are. Because there's always a silver lining. You just need to seek it. And it's all good and well me saying this now and having the most set mindset, right? It is difficult. It is horrible sometimes.
Wasn't always like that.
It's not like, man, if someone like died, obviously I'm not going to go, oh, where's the silver lining? You know what I mean? I'm going to go through hardship. I'm going to go through nastiness. But it's that little bit of me, and that comes from probably a bit of religion, a bit of family, a bit of environment, and me, which is just keep going. Just close your eyes, breathe, reset, go back to normal.
It's very interesting you say that. But I want to know one thing right now. What is your obsession with sneakers?
The switching. What's my obsession? To be honest, I have no idea.
I'll let you in on a secret, bro. They're all fake, bro. They're all fake. Sorry, man. I'll do it.
Listen. People will actually listen to this and be like, oh, they're fake. They are not fake. Not fake.
At what age did you start?
I can say with proud that I was before the blow up, the blow up of sneakers. I'd say I was about 18, 17. Yeah, something like that. So it's been 7 years now.
What were your first pair? What was, you know?
Man, funny thing is, talking about my first pair, I remember I wanted an Independence Day Nike Air Maxes. Okay. I couldn't get them, right?
Oh, the white, red and blue ones, right?
Yeah, there was a red pair.
I feel you.
All red pair. Man, I was craving these. And I couldn't get them. went on eBay. First time I used eBay in my life. Some guy listed them.
This is going to end badly. This is going to end badly.
And I paid this guy, and he's like, "Okay, cool, bank transfer me." I was like, oh, "Of course," you know. Where's the problem in that? So I bank transfer him with no payment protection of any sort. Basically, pulled my pants down. So the guy ships me these shoes. They were orange. And I'm like, I'm mildly colorblind, so I'm like, maybe though I'm just not seeing the color, maybe because I've never seen these shoes in real life, so I'm like, oh, maybe they're different in pictures. And I'm just like, they're fake, man. Oh, I was just like, and man, being like 17-year-old, spending £200 that you saved for, is ridiculous money.
Deep.
And you're just like, oh my God, these are valueless. This little waste man has ripped me off.
My parents have always like tried the best to teach me about money management and value for money. It was more value for money more than anything. And if I bought, let's say, a jacket that was a little bit, too much for them, it was too expensive, I had to lie and pretend that I got it much cheaper.
Yeah.
Now, how was your parents like when you spent all this?
Man, my parents are still not used to it. Man, I have 60 pairs of shoes, man. Flipping heck. Like today before we came, I was like, what do I wear? It's the
I've
first
never seen
60 pairs.
First podcast. Not even that hyped, but it was just like they went with the fit. And I was like, what do I wear? And I was just like, no, my parents think I'm a moron. Like, don't get me wrong. They think I'm an absolute moron. But I've kind of made it feasible in the sense that I buy and sell them. And when I'm done with them, I sell them, make profit. Like sometimes I don't make much profit, sometimes I make profit. Like the weird thing is that nobody understands, maybe a lot of people will do it now, is used shoes sell for money. Like it's not like they just drop in value. If they're hyped and in demand, you're gonna make money. You just need to get them. And when I went through a period where literally you could walk into any shop, you could pretty much get a shoe. Now you can't get anything, it's just dead. The game has died. It's just no longer a game. It's just savages.
What are your favourite pair?
Pit of savages, mate. One of my favourite pairs.
Says a lot about you.
Me? I'm the savage.
No. I'm saying,
my
what,
favourite pair.
what your favourite pair will say a lot about you.
A weird question.
When you've got
Probably.
that many, it's difficult to answer.
Man, the thing is, because I'm like, so each one has a story to me, because each one's with a period of my life. But I would probably say,
He's connected. He's literally connected with every sneaker.
man, because if a shoe doesn't have a story, I don't really care. I don't own sentimental. I'll just dish it off.
Yeah.
I don't really care. But there's one shoe which is probably Nike Air Force One High Riccardo Tisci in a tan colorway. Oh, I can't remember what year released. 2012? I don't know. Whatever it is. Man, I sought after these shoes, man. This is back when I wasn't in the game, really. I didn't have money, so I couldn't just buy them whenever the price was, whatever the resale price was. So I was trying to find these shoes everywhere, and Riccardo Tisci was the kind of the designer I look up to. So I was like, oh my God, where do I get these shoes? And one day I found them, and literally like, I was like so giddy, I was so excited. It was like what the hell's wrong with me? I was so giddy. And I was like, and they came and they arrived, and they were in the conditions the guy sold them to me. I thought they were going to be, bought them on eBay. Well, luckily that was a safe encounter, and they were real. They weren't fake. And man, I left home, and I was like, oh no, I really want to see him again. I was just open the box. I just hold them. I was just like, oh, this is a sick feeling. And I was just like, something's wrong with me. But and after that, I was like, that pure moment was like why I loved that experience all in all. And I was just like, the hype wasn't the reason. Like that shoe isn't hyped. It's not. No one will think of that, but it's just got a memory for me, which is makes it tangible, gives substance to it, which for me was the reason.
I like that.
Like there's loads of Yeezys or whatever these days. I don't care about any of them. Like they're cool and all, but I won't hold any emotional value to them. I remember one time for one Yeezy, it was Ramadan, so we stayed up, and then the release was at 8 a.m. So I stayed up till 8 a.m. and just online on the computer, trying to cart this, trying to put this in, trying to buy it, because there was like 1 billion people trying to buy it. Stayed up till 12 noon, and I didn't get them. I was like, oh my God. I wasted my whole day because I hadn't slept yet. So I was like this, just trying to car.
And that did
Sold
put you
out.
off trainers, like, you know.
It made me want to kill somebody, but like, I was just like, oh, it is what it is. I can't, like, in the end, the system will beat you. And I had to buy them for resale, and they were a lot of money, but I don't care.
Have you ever thought about tying together your love for shoes with, you know, for example, like you mentioned, you love helping people in your own way.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever thought about tying those together? You know, is that ever thought ever crossed your mind?
Yeah, that is, funnily enough. This is kind of a big factor on how I grew. My mental grew, and I grew validation for myself. So I was in my final year of university doing product design. Wow, this feels like my TEDx talk.
Yeah.
So I was in this final year, and I don't know. I always knew I wanted to help people, but how was I going to do it? I don't know. Well, I wanted to, like, all through this process, how do I validate myself effectively in the back of my head? And I went through this period of, I was loving trainers and I love to help people. These were my two passions, effectively. And how was I going to collaborate the two to create something that could help people? Because my goal was to help. In some way, whatever it made me successful or not, it was to help. So I sat down in this kind of product design course, and man, it was funny because throughout that year, I was just known as the guy who sat in the same chair every day, non-stop. Earliest in the morning, latest at night. In a black cap, working. I had my spot, it was my spot, legit. And I'd just be drawing and trying to think and curate and think, and I'd be calling my friends, what do I do, X, Y, Z? And kind of getting to this point where I was in a university environment which taught me to be good at what I was good at rather than learn something. So I was a product designer, I wasn't a shoemaker, I wasn't that kind of thing. So I was like, forget this mentality, seek difficulty, escape comfort, let's do something cool and different. So I decided that I wanted to make a shoe for refugees, kind of collaborated the fact that I love shoes and I love helping people. So I kind of decided to merge the two and say, how can I do my bit to help these people? So I kind of sat night and day and night with this idea of, I'd seen so many problems throughout my experiences going out to refugee camps. I'd seen so many issues, but I'd seen so many good things. But the biggest thing I'd seen lack of is their choices. They were given, go, get out. And that was a problem for me. So I wanted to effectively give them a choice, give them a bit of something that was lacked within my field. I decided to make a shoe, but I couldn't just make a normal shoe in my head. What's the point? What is my shoe going to add that a normal shoe isn't going to be as the same? So I realized they weren't wearing the right size. They weren't wearing the right appropriate footwear for their feet. And when I broke it down, they were walking 2,500 kilometers.
Wow.
And if you kind of put that in our perspective as local lads from Manchester, it's like walking to Manchester to London 8 times.
8 times.
8 times. And that was like mind blown because I drove it and it took 4 hours and that was forever, right? And that was one way. Imagine doing that 8 times back and forth. So it was, and imagine being a day walking around in shoes that didn't fit you. Your feet are killing you. But because this was not priority number one, just put aside. This was an issue that no longer became an issue. So my kind of idea was to push and give them a choice. So I kind of got to this realization that I wanted to make a size adjustable shoe. But is that even realistic? Why has it not been made? It seems so obvious at one point, but how has it never been made before? So I kind of just worked at it, man, I remember the library, but I literally took up like 3 meters of desk, sewing machine, fabrics, notebooks, books, laptop. Library's silent, bear in mind, and I'm there flipping, sewing, like trying to figure this out, and just like everybody gets in and just go away. Like, I'm not interested in your conversation, go away. I'm here to do something. And I started to develop this idea, and you're getting this good energy where you're like, man, I could do something here. I could help people. This could be life-changing. This could be like, wow. And I'm killing it. I'm just vibing with myself in my own world, in little Faisal land. and I'm living my best life. And what more do I want? Being creative, productive, and happy. Like, and so I was like, okay, cool. Got to this realization where I got to a point where it worked, where the size adjustable shoe worked. I flipping asked everybody for help. Like I seeked help from everybody to give me the knowledge that I needed to kind of progress. I remember this point specifically, and anyone from uni will tell you, I'm not a hothead. I'm a pretty chill guy, right? But I had one prototype, one left shoe.
Okay.
This left shoe, I spent sleepless nights on. Like, I spent a year trying to make one left shoe. Forget about a pair of shoes, right?
Yeah.
The shoe took like 64 hours to build solely, pure hours, not like 3 days, like 64 hours to build one left shoe. And that's pure from scratch. Everybody knew that on standing, do not touch my stuff. Do not touch my stuff,
Okay.
right? Especially the night before my hand did. And I hadn't gone to sleep for 3 days at this point. It's crunch time, right? It's crunch time to get this presentation going, get formalized the station, everything, right? I go to the toilet. Someone's playing around with my shoe.
Don't say it.
I don't want to hear it.
Don't say it. Oh my
It
God.
snapped. The shoe snapped. Bro, the shoe wasn't
The
made.
day
it was
before your hand in.
the day before my hand did. Man,
Bro, I bet you were fuming. You saw
I'm not
red.
proud of what, like I flipped the desk. I was like, I went outside, I was gonna kill somebody. Like,
Yo.
rage was like,
Can you
full.
imagine?
Man, I got to this point where I was like, yo, we're done. And they snapped my shoe. The mechanism, that's the smart bit, that is so complex, was snapped in half. And I was like, oh my God, there's no recovery. This alone, 3D printing, took 12 hours on its own. And so, man, I had a team around me cooling me down. A team trying to sort me out. And I was like, okay, they cooled me down.
Generally, people think it's cool to be creative, and people want to be creative, but they don't realize that with being creative comes the risk
Well,
of failure, not being able to source what's in your head. You know, you're trying to put so many different things together, and sometimes it's just a lot safer and easier not to be creative. You know,
Yeah.
just to
No, but this is the kind of thing. So we got to a stage in this, like, where I finished the product, went to my supervisor, told them it doesn't work now. I had to super glue it together. Like, I had no option. I was done out. I was out of time. And they told me, okay, cool. Like, fair enough, blah, blah, blah. I got marked down for it. I didn't get the best grade at university. Like, in no arrogant sense of the word, I did a pretty cool project. I did the world's first size adjustable shoe, purely. And didn't get the grade. Didn't get the recognition in any sense of the word. Supervisors didn't really give me the acknowledgement that, I don't know, I felt like I deserved in a bit.
Just out of curiosity, was part of the project to do something that's not been done before?
No,
or
it
just
was
to make a
purely
product?
just to make something.
Just
Make
to
something. Make something. Make something that was, I don't know, unique in some sense of the word.
But rather than doing something safe.
No, you
fairly
can't do
simple-
safe. You can't do
yeah,
safe.
but what I'm saying is, rather than doing something that's safe and fairly simple,
I decided
you
to do
were so
so.
keen on helping
Yeah.
that you were prepared to make a university project impossible, but still you're willing to go ahead with it. And
Yeah, because for me, again, it's what I teach people. It's stop seeking the grade. Stop seeking validation. Seek opportunity within yourself. Seek the goal, which is your growth. It's not the A star. It's not the first class degree, because I have a lot more to show, and I didn't get the first class degree. I
just feel like from the start to where you are now, you change what you do, but it's like the principle is still there. You know, it's all about you and people, connecting with people, helping people.
Yeah.
And when you were 18, and even when you were, you know, at the end of university, that didn't really change. You know, you sort of stuck to who you are, stay true to yourself,
Yeah.
and decided that you're not gonna be influenced by anything, which we all do. You know, growing up, sometimes, you know, you look at social media, you look at, I don't know, celebrities, sports, fame, money, and your drive changes from time to time.
Yeah.
What kept yours the same?
I don't know, really. It was just, again, I can't pinpoint it on a person or a situation, but it was, I don't know, I just felt my life was bigger than me. I had every opportunity to create something. I had every opportunity to succeed and do something for greater than me, right? I had a good background. I had financial stability. I had good people, and I had religion. I had everything around me to be my key components. So what was my excuse if I didn't? You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like, especially being from middle class environment, you don't have too many people trying to push. You have a lot of people talk. You have a lot of people just, I don't know, not exceeding their real potential. And it's not like I'm exceeding in any way, shape or form, but I'm just like, you don't have where you hear in top tier environments where everybody's rich and every affluent family has the connections to make everyone affluent, right? To make them kill the game. Where you're not from the bottom, where you don't have all these stories where that need and drive to get out is there. We don't have a need and drive. We're normal. We can easily pace by life not doing anything, you know what I mean? You finish university, get a normal job, you finish.
Yeah.
Life is easy. That was a lot of my problem, which was, in reality, I don't like easy, it's annoying. As much as I see people with 9-to-5 jobs, and I crave that stability right now. I crave that stable income. Then at the end of the day, I'm like, I know in the same sense, if I was in that, I'd be driving, I'd be going crazy, because it's not me. It's not what I want to do. And I've seen from my personal growth, when I concentrate on something, it works. Because I put in my effort, I put in my skills, I really care, blah, blah. Maybe I'm not the most skillful in this situation, but it's never, in any industry, the most skillful person that succeeds. It's the person that actually has the edge, actually has the execution. Interesting perspective, I always tell people, in design school, they tell us to draw a straight line at the start in first year. All of our straight lines were different. And a simple task like that shows you that no matter what, how simple you think it is, everyone has a different perspective. Everyone has a different output. Like, and I always laugh when people tell me, like, oh, I can't tell you my idea. You'll steal it. My perception of your idea is completely different to yours. So stop thinking like that. Think of, oh, me telling you my idea might help the idea grow, might help get a different perspective, all that kind of stuff. Because it was all from experience and people telling me these things that I had to learn from it, which was, especially in a self-taught environment that I'm in, if I don't let people teach me, I failed. I'm done. Like, that's the stupidest thing I could do. If I don't let, before this podcast, tell you about it, what do you think? Tell you about what do you think? Tell you about what do you think? I'm not making the podcast for me and him. We're not making that. We're making it so people can listen to it. We're doing all that situation. So being narrow-minded and focused on my own dream is irrelevant if it doesn't help people. You know what I mean? So I need to seek people. And through that, you speak to people. And through that, I teach myself to stop being an introvert, go speak to this person. Man, it's like me and Kareem, naturally, right? One-on-one, I'm cool. Maybe we had a different relationship if we met in a different situation where if it was a crowd of people, I probably would have never spoken to him. I'm never the loudest in the group. I'm just the loudest in my group. I'm very loud, I'm very extroverted in my group.
Very, very loud.
It's part of it though. But it's just like, there's no simple solution.
It makes you.
It makes me me. It makes me me. Like, the weird thing is everyone listening to this will be like, oh, he's such a serious guy. No.
No, I think they'll see a different side after a few.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But, you know, I feel like I know you a lot better anyway. I'm sure whoever's listening.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, honestly, like I wanna thank you for doing this. It's not easy for anyone to come forward and speak about their personal life.
Yeah.
I wanna thank you as well for tonight.
Thanks for having me, guys.
El Maj,
good.
One of our number one supporters
Honestly,
at the start.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought it'd be a lot more difficult, but I really enjoyed it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I don't feel like we're working or, you know, we're just chilling.
Just having a
It's a
conversation.
natural conversation, man. Yeah, it's got a nice flow to it.
But kind of like an outtake that would be, so basically how we're going to kind of progress in this is, that was my journey, right? That was a brief, and will develop. Like, you can't, like, if I talk about my story for the rest of my life,
I'll be here for
nobody will listen. This is not some Joe Rogan 4-hour podcast.
Shout out Joe Rogan.
Shout out Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, come on the show. But we're trying to give people a bit of insight into us before we start really tapping into people. Because maybe it gives us a bit of validation as to why are we hosting and interviewing, I don't know, podcasting so many people. And we're going to get a lot of different people, different situations, different environments, funny people, serious people, people's stories that will change your life forever. It's going to be exciting. And we're excited to have it.
Look forward to seeing it grow, man.
Listen, but the biggest shout out is the man you don't see right now. He set all the cameras up.
Mr. Arif.
My man Arif, the magician.
Listen, there's a reason why we have all this audio. What do you think? We just got like money spare just to blow out this.
But that's what it is, you know, just having the right friends.
Right environment.
And, you know, when you choose the right people around you, I mean, look, I've not seen you in how long now? You know, you've
Months.
been busy with work.
Yeah.
I've not even seen you for a while, you know, up until recently.
True.
We don't have this expectations, you know, where we have to see each other or speak.
High maintenance.
But it's like
None of that.
when we need each other, I
We're
know
there.
we're all going to be there. It's not like a transactional relationship where there has to be some sort of benefit. You know, we're just here for each other where we can help.
Yeah,
We help
exactly. And we'll kind of roll out this podcast in the end of the day, just saying, hopefully this story, briefly, there's some bits you can take from it, some bits you probably think I'm a moron from. And it's been a pleasure having everybody, and we're going to try our best to produce regular content because we feel like this is our calling right now on the side. Any last words to the Majad?
I think I've got one more question. All right,
for one you. more
I'm going to
question,
put you
okay.
under the cosh, man. Why not?
All right, let's go.
If you had to cop or drop one of them.
Oh, is this a cop or drop thing?
Cop or drop,
Man,
right.
they're both dead.
All right, I need an answer off you.
Listen, man, I have golden feet, man. Man, if my kind of stupid alter ego is, if I see someone else wearing them, I don't want them. I can't be the sneaker guy and have the comment shit.
That's a safe answer.
You can come back, basically. You can come back.
No, but for sure the Ultra Boost. I'm dropping them.
My
dead,
man.
Vans,
I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that.
Am I changing them next week?
Up to you, man. Up to you.
I'm going sliders.
Get your toes out, fam.
Sliders, I'm telling you, next week.
All right, shout out the barbershop. It's been a pleasure. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.